Hello, and thank you for popping by to try out the Flourishing Harpist taster course. So this is I'm just going to give you a little one of the nuggets from this course. This is a really big course. It's a 12-week course where we learn to work out, we look at how to work out your own fingering. We look at how to work on like being really confident with your placing and playing without hesitation. We look at counting techniques, working with metronomes. We look at unusual techniques. We look at rhythm and how to count it out and make it sort of feel easy for you using words and different little sneaky tricks. We go over our foundation techniques and talk about really making melody beautiful when we play. We work on agility, flow, speed. We work on rehearsing with others, working with the conductor. We look at damping techniques. We look at the art of breaking it down and making things feel easy. We look at hands together challenges and ways to sort of get around those, and we look at effective practice skills. There's so much in here. It's like I talk about it as being a library of ideas, but the thing I want to share with you is this. So let me just bring this up on screen. So I hope that you can now see that on your screen nice and big. Okay, so this is one where I'm trying to get everyone to work on placing and really knowing our shapes. Know your shapes. This is something that I'm really passionate about and I go on about a lot. Now, some of the ways I've described some of these chords on this page might surprise you, so you might have to suspend your disbelief a little bit on it, because what I'm really talking about is I'm talking about shapes. I'm not talking about the harmony behind this or anything like that. This is literally getting to grips with placing and shapes. So here is what I'm talking about. Okay, so in the course this is a handout, but I'll show you on screen for now, and then you can take the ideas away to work on in your own time. So a root position C chord, C, E, G, C. Okay, when you see it written on your music as a block chord, I'm sure that you'd place all your fingers before you play them, because it'd be really hard not to, wouldn't it? So something that I go on about a lot is the idea of hovering, then landing, then squeezing, then playing, and then relaxing. 5 steps to your note, and this is so that you aren't landing really tense and you're hovering, because it helps us limit our buzzing and all these other things and makes us really confident when we land. The idea of squeezing to ready to prepare to make a nice warm round sound, and then relaxing, whichever way you have been taught, whichever way works for you. It's that's quite varied. Okay, so but as I say, so if you saw a root position 4-note chord C, E, G, C, you would put all your 4 fingers down before you played the chord, because you kind of have to, yeah. But if you saw 4 in a row, sometimes it's not so easy to remember to place everything and to recognize that it's a root position chord. So what I'm doing is in this particular week of the course is I'm really encouraging us to start to recognize that there's even like there's some things we do, some little activities we do to work on it. But on this you're seeing the root position chord written as a block chord, and then you're seeing it as an ascending arpeggio chord or broken chord, and then you're seeing it as a descending broken chord or arpeggio chord coming down. And what the point being that it doesn't matter whether you're playing it like that or like that or like that. The thing that you need to do is to put all 4 fingers on in one go before you begin that run of notes. I'm sure there are exceptions depending on where you come from or where you're going to in your piece of music, but it's really worth starting to get your eyes to recognize that as being exactly the same thing. So and if you're already there, then bravo, that's wonderful, but it's definitely something that I personally had to develop being able to do over time. And so you'll see that we go then over the root position like that, and then the first inversion, and then the second inversion, thinking of it as the ascending and descending as well. In the course I count this out and things, but you can do that in your own time. This is just an idea for you to take away. We then go through it on the 7th chord, so you've got your root 7 as a block chord, as an ascending arpeggio and a descending one, and then you've got it in its first inversion, second inversion, and then third inversion. I'm talking about shapes, so I'm not saying here that this is a C major 7 or whatever. It's irrelevant for this particular purpose. What I'm trying to get you to do is to feel the shapes. In the course, and I'll show you in a moment, we also then look at some other ideas to work on this exact idea. Okay, the next one is we've got just the triad chord in its root 1st and 2nd. And slightly controversially, I've then got 2nd inversion 7th chord with only 3 notes. So the reason being is that these scrunchy chords, as I sometimes call them, seem to come up a lot in our music. So they're good shapes to remember, but the top note, if you like, of the second inversion is missing. There's no B in there. I'm calling it a 2nd inversion 3-note because I've missed off the top note rather than having all 4 notes in. Okay. but you could definitely call it other things as well. So these are 12 shapes, okay? These 12 shapes, I believe, if you can learn them, if you can memorize them so that you can play them with your eyes closed, and you can play runs, scales, which is one of the things that we work on in the course, is playing them as scales going up and down, all these shapes in both hands. So actually underneath here you'll see it's in the left hand as well, the bass clef. We then also, look at, so there's a piece of music actually written where you can spot the different chords in it as well, to work on that idea. But the point being that if you can memorize the muscle memory of it so that your hand can, you could say, right hand, I would like you to play a first inversion 4-note chord, and your hand will land for you on that shape. Or you say, right, could you play a 3-note triad? I suspect that you can do a 3-note triad in root already, even if you're quite fledgling a player. If you're more advanced, you can test yourself on your 7th chords. Can you find the second inversion, for instance? Does it land under your hand? If you can do this with your eyes closed, great. That's one of the steps in knowing your shapes. If you can then also recognize them on the music, even when they're written in arpeggiated form, so if you can see that and know that to be the 3rd inversion, so that your hand will go on automatically as a group, that's going to really help as well. So it will help with your sight reading, and it will help with avoiding hesitations, it will help with buzzing, it will help with lots of different things. It will free you from reading every note. So rather than having to go, okay, what do I need for this particular one here? Oh, I need a B and then a C and then an E and a G. Instead, your hand will be like, bam, it's one of those. Oh, I'll tell you one last thing before I bring this video to a close. I think this might be quite a short sneak peek, but it's this idea is a big idea. So, go and practice this. I just think this unlocks doors for people. It certainly did for me when I finally worked this stuff out and really, really embraced it and understood it. I may have been taught it many times, but it took me a while before it sunk in. And to discover, when I went down to write, I was like, I'm going to write down all the shapes, and I was like, there's only 12. And of course, there's slight variations. But what happens is then if you say you met this shape here, I'm on number 6 here, the 2nd inversion, 7th chord. Say you met that, but there was an F on top. Okay, I could start describing it in very fancy terms of what actual chord that is, or I could just think for my brain's sake, oh, well, that was my 2nd inversion 7th shape, but my thumb's 1 note higher. You can simplify things in your head from the shapes perspective, or you can get really into harmony as well. I'll leave that choice to you because many roads lead to Rome. The last thing I want to show you, is to share with you is just the way I think of 7th chords. So if I was on a C major 7, let's do the dominant. Let's do the G7. In C major, we'll do G7. We'll do the dominant 7. So G, B, D, and F. Okay. I think of this one as being symmetrical. The root position, you're just building up your thirds on top of each other, aren't you? So I just think of that as the symmetrical chord, or the play one, miss one, play one, miss one, play one, miss one, play one chord, whatever. I think of the line of symmetry down between finger 2 and 3, and that helps me find that shape. Okay, so but the next one, I think of it as a triad, like a normal 3-note triad with a squish. Oh, that's a technical term. I know it's not a very technical term, but it helps me. So 3 notes as a normal triad shape, and then a squishy neighbouring note at the top. For the 2nd inversion, I think it was the butterfly shape, because butterflies have little bodies and big wings. Okay, so it's the butterfly shape. I definitely stole that from somebody at the Edinburgh Harp Festival. Thank you, whoever it was. I also now have the bumblebee, which is the one where you have little wings and big body, but that's not relevant for this. Okay, moving on. So there we are, there's the butterfly, and then the final one I think of as being a squish. 2 neighbouring notes next door to each other, sound squishy, they're squished together, and then a triad shape. So you can think of it as symmetrical chord, triad and a squish, the butterfly, and squish and a triad. There we go. I'm just showing that in case that helps anyone out there. So I hope you've enjoyed this little sneaker peek in. This exists in the course as a whole worksheet, and then if I move, I'll move the page and show you. I'm pretty sure we then do. I've then written them out as a warm up and in a warm up idea as well, and then we do a piece of music where I've broken down the piece into exercises, and then we do. This is actually one of the favourite tunes, it seems, in the course, Hidden Treasures. I've called this Find Your Shapes, where I invite everybody to go through and look for their shapes in the piece, and then when you come to play the piece, you find that loads of the shapes in it, loads of the hand positions that you have to land are in fact the chords. So I've written all the pieces all the way through Flourishing Harpist to kind of time with the ideas, and actually Hidden Treasures is on my album Alone Together as well. So there we are. Thank you very much for watching this video. My name's Shelley Fairplay, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you online some more together and working together in the not too distant future. Thank you.